The stars glittered peacefully over the planet Arendor Prime, home of the Galactic Council, a union of dozens of alien civilizations. From the outside, it looked like a world of order and unity. Bright towers of glass and energy shimmered in the twilight. But deep inside the council halls, betrayal was taking shape. For nearly 2 centuries, humanity had stood beside the Galactic Council as loyal allies. Humans were the youngest species in the council, yet they had achieved wonders that many thought impossible. Faster-than-light drives, self-healing ships, and the strongest defense networks in known space. But success often brings fear. Many alien races within the council had begun whispering, "Humans are growing too strong." In the Great Chamber of Stars, the council meeting began. 12 alien leaders floated or stood around a shining table of light. Each represented an ancient race, proud, intelligent, and cunning. At the far end stood Ambassador Kor of the Zathan, his crimson skin glistening under the blue light. "The humans no longer obey," he said coldly. "They refuse to share their latest technology. Their fleet now surpasses even the Council's defense armada. We must act before it is too late." Several nodded in agreement. But Aria Talon, a young diplomat from the gentle Aurelian species, raised her golden eyes. "Act against humanity? They helped rebuild our worlds after the Orion Wars. They saved us from the Drax Plague," Ambassador Kor hissed softly. "And now they use those same skills to build an empire. They will not stop until the galaxy belongs to them." The council chamber filled with uneasy murmurs. Finally, Chancellor Vorn, the leader of the council, rose from his seat. His tall silver form shimmered with authority. "Let us vote," he said. "The proposal is simple. Restrict humanity's military power and demand all of their new technology. If they refuse, we will remove them." The word "remove" echoed like thunder in the silent chamber. Only 3 voted against. The rest voted in favor. The betrayal had begun. Back on Earth, deep under the mountain fortress of New Geneva, the human delegation waited for the council's decision. The city above was bright and full of life. Hover trains glided across the horizon, and children laughed in the parks built on old battlegrounds. Admiral Sarah Holt, commander of the United Earth Fleet, stood in the briefing room beside a wall-sized screen showing the council's symbol. Her sharp eyes never left the display. "Something's wrong," she said quietly. "The council's been delaying the session for days." Beside her, Dr. Leon Carter, head of the Human Science Division, nodded slowly. "I ran a scan on their encrypted signals. There's heavy communication between Zathan and Vorn systems. It feels like they're planning something big. And we're the target." Holt turned to the window, looking at Earth's moon shining like a silent guardian. "They've forgotten who we are," she said. "They think humans will bow down again. But not this time." Moments later, a transmission arrived, the council's message. The holographic face of Chancellor Vorn appeared, calm and emotionless. "Humans of Earth," he said, his metallic voice echoing through the chamber. "By decree of the Galactic Council, you are ordered to surrender all advanced technology for inspection and redistribution. This includes your defense systems, ship AI cores, and plasma reactors. Failure to comply will be considered rebellion." The room went silent. Then Admiral Holt spoke. "You mean you want us to hand over everything that keeps us alive?" Vorn didn't blink. "The Council must ensure peace. Your weapons are too powerful." "Peace?" Holt repeated. "Or control." The Chancellor ended the transmission without answering. That night, in the command center of the human fleet orbiting Mars, hundreds of officers gathered for an emergency meeting. The great screen displayed dozens of alien fleets, Council armadas, moving toward human territories. "This is it," said General Rice. "They've declared silent war." Dr. Carter stood, his voice calm but steady. "We knew this day would come. Every major empire fears what they don't understand. Humanity's unity, our speed of progress, it threatens them." "Then they should have remembered who rebuilt their fallen worlds," Holt replied firmly. "We gave them peace. We gave them medicine. We gave them hope. And now they betray us." Around the table, silence filled the air, heavy and sharp. Finally, Holt looked at her officers. "We will not strike first, but we will prepare. The Council believes we are weak, that we are afraid to fight. Let them believe that, until the moment we choose to stand. She turned to her communication officer. "Send a message to every colony, every ship, every citizen." "What message, Admiral?" Holt's eyes were cold as steel. "Tell them, humanity stands alone." Across the galaxy, the message spread like wildfire. On mining colonies, soldiers prepared hidden defense cannons. On distant moons, engineers fortified energy shields. Every human settlement, every ship, every outpost began to move quietly, calmly, preparing for what everyone now knew was coming. The Council fleets approached the borders of the Sol system. Their leaders believed humanity would surrender. After all, the humans were outnumbered 10-1, but numbers never frightened humanity. Deep inside Earth's orbital defense grid, hidden behind massive asteroid stations, secret ships awakened. They were part of Project Aegis, a classified defense program known only to the top admirals. Massive stealth cruisers, equipped with quantum shields and plasma lances, powered up for the first time. Dr. Carter watched from his control screen as the power levels surged. "They'll never see us coming," he whispered. Admiral Holt nodded. "Good, but we won't use them yet. We'll give the Council one last chance." 3 days later, humanity sent a single reply to the Galactic Council. It was a short message, only 9 words. "We will not bow. Leave now while you can." The Council leaders laughed at the message. To them, it was arrogance. To humanity, it was a warning. Within hours, hundreds of Council fleets crossed into human space. They expected fear. They found silence. As the first alien ships approached the orbit of Mars, their sensors picked up nothing. No human ships, no defense grids. Just empty space. Then the stars changed. Thousands of human warships decloaked in perfect formation, engines glowing blue. The human defense armada stood ready, shields active and weapons charged. Admiral Holt's voice echoed across the communication lines. "This is Admiral Sarah Holt of the United Earth Fleet. You have entered restricted space. Leave now or face consequences you will not survive," the alien commander sneered. "You would not dare fire upon the Council." Holt looked out at the stars. "You betrayed us. You left us no choice." The first shot was fired not by the humans, but by the Council. A plasma beam streaked across space, hitting one of the outer defense drones. That was the signal. Human ships moved as one, their formation tightening like a blade. Missiles flew silently, streaking across the void. Blue light filled the darkness as Council ships exploded one after another. The battle had begun. Dr. Carter watched from the command base, his heart heavy. "They never listened," he whispered. Admiral Holt stood tall, her eyes fixed on the tactical map. "Then we'll make them listen." Humanity warned them. She gave the final order, one that would echo across the stars. "Activate Protocol Titan. Send this message to every world. The Council betrayed us. This is your final warning. Escape now." The blackness of space burned with light. Explosions flashed like suns as the first battle of Mars tore across the void. The Galactic Council fleets, proud and massive, had never faced such precision before. Human ships moved like shadows, coordinated, disciplined, unbroken. Each vessel followed its command perfectly, every maneuver executed with exact timing. The alien commanders watched in disbelief as their numbers fell. "Impossible," muttered General Kor, leader of the Zathan Armada. His crimson eyes glowed with rage as his screens filled with human symbols. "They are outnumbered, and yet they're winning?" Behind him, his officers exchanged worried looks. The humans had prepared for this war long before it began. Far away on the flagship UES Valkyrie, Admiral Sarah Holt stood on the bridge, surrounded by blue holograms of ships and fleets. Her tone was calm but sharp. "Target sectors 8 through 12. Prioritize the Zathan fleet. Disable their warp cores." "Aye, Admiral," replied her tactical officer. "Firing now?" Dozens of torpedoes streaked out from the Valkyrie, splitting into hundreds of smaller charges. They flew through enemy shields and detonated deep inside their engines. The explosion waves spread like ripples across a pond. Alien ships vanished into white fire. "Enemy formation collapsing," shouted Lieutenant Rice. Holt watched quietly. She didn't celebrate. There was no joy in war. Meanwhile, deep beneath the surface of Earth, in the hidden fortress of New Geneva Command, Dr. Leon Carter and his science teams worked without rest. Screens displayed thousands of battle reports from across human colonies. "Status of the Mars front?" Carter asked. Still holding, replied his assistant Mira Yao. But Council reinforcements are moving from Vega, 30 fleets at least. Carter frowned. 30 fleets. He looked at the glowing display of the human defense grid. That's too many. We'll never hold Mars if they push through. Mira bit her lip. Should we activate Project Aegis completely? Carter hesitated. The Aegis fleet was humanity's last defense, stealth warships equipped with advanced plasma reactors and cloaking fields. They were powerful, but using them meant revealing all of Earth's secret technology. He closed his eyes briefly. Not yet, he said. Let them think they're winning first. At the same time, in orbit around Luna, the second human defense fleet was engaging another Council armada. The alien ships formed a wall of energy and fire, but the humans were fast. Commander Elena Brooks, captain of the destroyer Silverwing, gave rapid commands. Roll starboard. Fire pulse cannons. Keep our distance. Her crew obeyed instantly. Plasma bolts cut across the void, tearing through enemy hulls. Captain incoming, shouted her first officer. A beam of green energy lanced toward them, slicing across their shields. The silver wing shook violently. Sparks flew across the bridge, shields down to 40%. Brooks gritted her teeth. Stay calm. Divert all power to front shields. The crew worked fast. Humans had learned the hard way that calm minds win battles. Within seconds, the silver wing returned fire, striking the enemy flagship dead center. The alien vessel exploded in a silent blaze. The bridge crew cheered, but Brooks raised a hand. Don't celebrate yet. They'll send more. Hours later, the battlefront spread across the galaxy. The Council had underestimated humanity's reach. From the icy colonies of Europa to the far deserts of the Arcturus system, human outposts fought back. Everywhere the message echoed, the Council betrayed us. Escape now. Many neutral species heard it and began to question the Council's actions. On the Aurelian homeworld, Area Talon, the same diplomat who had spoken against the betrayal, stood in her chamber watching the news feeds. Cities burned across the Council worlds as panic spread. Trade routes collapsed, communication lines failed, and trust vanished. This war will destroy everything, she whispered. Her assistant looked at her nervously. Should we intervene? Arya shook her head slowly. If we stand with the Council, we stand against justice. The humans warned them. Now they face the storm they created. She turned toward the stars. Perhaps it's time someone helped humanity. Back at the heart of the war, the UES Valkyrie received new intelligence. The enemy was gathering their largest fleet near Jovian orbit, aiming for a final assault on Earth. Admiral Holt studied the data silently. Then she looked at her staff. If they reach Earth, billions will die. We stop them here. Her second-in-command frowned. Admiral, they outnumber us 5-1. Even with Aegis, it's a risk. Holt's expression didn't change. Humanity was built on risk. We'll hold the line. She turned toward the communication console. Connect me to all fleets. Moments later, thousands of faces appeared on the holographic display. Officers, pilots, soldiers, engineers, from every corner of human space. Holt spoke clearly. This is Admiral Holt. We have been betrayed by those we once called allies. They came to our worlds with promises of peace, but their hearts held fear. Now they come with weapons and they believe they can destroy us. They are wrong. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not break. We fight for every life, every home, every dream. Hold the line when show them what humans are made of. Across the galaxy, cheers erupted. The fleets prepared. When the Council Armada arrived near Jupiter, the darkness itself seemed to tremble. Thousands of alien ships formed a great ring, glowing like a false sun. Their leader, Admiral Zhor of the Vexari Empire, smiled cruelly. End them, he commanded. Missiles and plasma bolts lit up the void. But the human ships did not retreat. Instead, they split into smaller groups, weaving between the massive enemy lines. Every ship became a blade. Every pilot fought like it was their last breath. The Valkyrie led the charge, cutting through the chaos. Its plasma cannons fired non-stop, tearing through enemy cruisers. Dr. Carter's voice came through the comms from Earth. Admiral, the Aegis fleet is ready. Holt didn't hesitate. Deploy them. All of them. Suddenly, space itself shimmered. From behind Jupiter's shadow, hundreds of invisible ships decloaked, massive, dark vessels with smooth, glowing edges. The Aegis fleet had arrived. Engage stealth mode. Target their command ships, Holt ordered. The Aegis ships moved like ghosts. They fired beams of white energy that cut through shields as if they were air. One by one, the Council's command centers vanished. Admiral Zor's voice broke through static. What is this technology? Human innovation, Holt replied coldly. You should have left us alone. Within minutes, the entire Council armada was in disarray. Their ships crashed into each other, communications jammed, and panic spread through their lines. The battle turned completely. Down on Earth, billions watched the sky through live broadcasts. They saw flashes of light near Jupiter, the burning trails of ships across the stars. The people didn't see fear, they saw hope. Children held flags. Families gathered in city squares. For the first time in weeks, the world felt united. In New Geneva Command, Dr. Carter received reports. Admiral Holt's forces are pushing them back, said Mira excitedly. Carter smiled faintly. We might just survive this. But then a new alert appeared on his screen. A strange energy signal was approaching from deep space. What is that? He whispered. The scanner showed something massive, larger than any ship seen before. Meanwhile, in the Council's secret sector, Chancellor Vorn watched the battle collapse. Rage burned in his silver eyes. They destroyed 3 armadas in one day, his aide said fearfully. Then we'll use the core, Vorn said coldly. The core? The aide hesitated. But that weapon was banned even before the Council was formed. Vorn turned sharply. If humanity wins, there will be no Council left. Prepare the weapon. He looked toward the star map. Let them have their victory. It will be their last. Back aboard the Valkyrie, Admiral Holt felt a chill as her sensors picked up the same energy surge. Dr. Carter's voice broke through the static. Admiral, something is coming. It's not a fleet, it's something else. The bridge fell silent. Holt looked out into the darkness. In the distance, the stars seemed to twist, bending into a spiral of white fire. Everyone to battle stations, she said calmly, whatever that is. It's not friendly. Outside, the spiral grew brighter and brighter until it covered half the sky. A voice echoed over the comms, a distorted alien tone filled with menace. This is the will of the Council. Surrender. Or burn. Holt clenched her fists. Then we stand again. The space around Jupiter turned white with energy. Every ship, human or alien, paused for a moment as their sensors overloaded. The strange spiral of light grew larger, twisting like a storm made of stars. Inside the UES Valkyrie, alarms echoed. The bridge shook as waves of unknown radiation hit their shields. Report, Admiral Sarah Holt shouted, gripping the edge of the command table. Ma'am, the energy signature is beyond anything we've recorded, replied Lieutenant Rice. It's coming from a Council installation in deep orbit around Gamma Serpentis. Whatever they activated, it's rewriting space itself. Dr. Leon Carter's voice came through the comms from Earth Command. Admiral, that energy is from an ancient weapon, older than the Council itself. They call it the core. It was locked away centuries ago because it could destroy entire star systems. Holt's face hardened, and now they're using it against us. The crew fell silent. They could feel the weight of the moment. Humanity's greatest test had just begun. On DEATHWORLD, the Council's capital world, Chancellor Vorn stood in the darkened control room of the ancient weapon. The walls around him glowed with runes from a forgotten civilization. Blue flames danced across the crystal cores powering the machine. Status? Vorn asked. A Zathan technician bowed nervously. The core is charging, Chancellor. Full activation in 7 minutes. Once ready, it will unleash a wave that erases all molecular structure in the target zone. Good, Vorn said coldly. Target Earth, the technician hesitated. Chancellor, if we use it, the shockwave may destroy nearby systems, including our own colonies. Vorn's silver eyes flashed. Humanity must be erased. That is the price of order. He turned away, unaware that his words were being recorded by hidden Council officers, those who had begun to question his leadership. Back on Earth, Dr. Carter and Mira Yao worked frantically. Data streamed across their screens like rivers of light. If that weapon fires, it'll wipe out half the solar system, Mira said, her voice trembling. Carter typed rapidly. There must be a counter-frequency, something to stop or delay the energy wave. Suddenly, his eyes widened. Wait, the Aegis reactors. Their plasma cores are built on quantum harmonics. If we synchronize all ships at once, we might neutralize part of the blast. Mira blinked. That would require perfect timing across hundreds of ships. Carter smiled faintly. Then it's a good thing humans are stubborn. Admiral Holt received Carter's message seconds later. She studied the plan in silence, then nodded. We'll do it, Lieutenant Rice frowned. Admiral, if the timing is even 1 second off, the fleet could collapse from energy overload. Holt looked out the viewport, where distant flashes from dying ships filled the horizon. Better to try and fail than to watch Earth burn. She pressed her communicator. This is Admiral Holt. To all fleet captains. Synchronize your reactors to frequency Omega-7. On my signal, prepare to fire all systems at once. Her voice carried calm determination, the kind that gave strength to those who heard it. Across the stars, human captains repeated her order. Pilots steadied their hands, engineers prayed silently, and technicians whispered the same words again and again, for Earth, for humanity. Far across the battlefield, the Council fleets were regrouping. Their ships surrounded the growing storm, the weapon known as the core. Inside one of the command vessels, Ambassador Core watched the energy readings rise. It's almost ready, he said proudly. Soon no trace of humanity will remain. But beside him, Area Talon appeared on the communication screen. Her golden eyes glowed with anger. You fool, she said. You're about to destroy everything. Not just humans, but all life near that system. Core sneered. You sympathize with the humans? They helped us when no one else did, she replied. If we destroy them, then we destroy the very meaning of the Council. Before Core could reply, Area ended the call and turned to her pilot. Set course for Earth, we're going to warn them. As the countdown continued, the spiral of light above Jupiter reached its peak. Dr. Carter's voice came over the Valkyrie's bridge speakers. Admiral, you have 90 seconds before activation. That's all the time we have. Holt stood tall, her hands clasped behind her back. All ships ready? All ships ready, replied Rice. The stars seemed to hold their breath. The core opened like an eye, a blazing circle of white energy surrounded by darkness. It pulsed once, then twice. Now, Holt commanded. Every human ship fired its engines and reactors at full power, sending out synchronized quantum waves. The light from their ships collided with the core's growing beam. For a moment, space itself seemed to shatter. A massive shock wave rolled through the system. Energy clashed against energy. Matter bent and time felt like it stopped. Inside the Valkyrie, consoles exploded with sparks. Reactor overload, shouted Rice. Hold it steady, Holt yelled. Don't let it break. The ship trembled violently as the white storm engulfed everything. Then, silence. When the light faded, half of the Council fleet was gone. The rest drifted, engines dead. The core's beam had failed to reach Earth. It had been neutralized, but not destroyed. Holt exhaled slowly. Report, Carter's voice came back, tired but steady. You did it, Admiral. The core shut down, but it's recharging again. They'll try a second shot. How long? Maybe an hour. Holt looked around the bridge. Many of her crew were exhausted, but none were afraid. Then we used that hour. While humanity regrouped, Area Talon's ship emerged from hyperspace near Earth. She immediately requested communication with New Geneva Command. Dr. Carter appeared on her screen, wary but curious. An Aurelian? You're brave to come here. I'm not your enemy, Area said quickly. The Council has lost its way. Chancellor Vorn will destroy everyone if he fires that weapon again. But there's something you must know. The core draws power from a subspace relay near the star of DEATHWORLD. If you destroy that relay, the weapon will collapse. Carter's eyes widened. Then that's our target. He contacted Admiral Holt. We have a way to stop the core permanently. Minutes later, the Valkyrie's engines roared back to life. The fleet formed up, their battered hulls glowing faintly in the light of distant stars. Set course for DEATHWORLD, Holt ordered. We finish this. The human fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving the burning remains of the battlefield behind. At the same time, on DEATHWORLD, Chancellor Vorn prepared for the second activation. His aides begged him to reconsider. Chancellor, please. If the core collapses, the energy backlash could destroy this entire sector. Vorn glared at them. Then let it. Better that all life ends than humanity survives. The room fell silent. For the first time, even his loyal guards looked uncertain. Moments later, the human fleet exited hyperspace just above Arendor Prime. Thousands of enemy ships stood in their path, forming a massive shield around the planet. "Admiral," Rice said, "that's the largest fleet we've ever faced." Holt nodded. "Then it's a good day to make history." She activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is your admiral. Ahead of us lies the source of this war. The heart of the betrayal. The Council thought they could erase us. Let's show them the truth. For every fallen soldier, for every burning world, for every child who dreams under our stars. Fight." The human fleet surged forward. The battle above Arendor Prime was unlike any before. Plasma bolts and missiles filled the skies, ships burning and breaking apart. Yet humanity did not slow. Aegis cruisers dove through enemy lines, unleashing energy bursts that cut through entire formations. Fighters weaved between alien ships, targeting weak points with unmatched precision. At the center of the chaos, the Valkyrie pushed toward the massive energy relay, a shining sphere surrounded by protective towers. "Target locked," Rice shouted. "Fire everything," Holt commanded. The Valkyrie's cannons roared. Blue light struck the relay, breaking through its shields. Energy waves rippled across the planet's orbit. Below, Vorn screamed as the control room filled with alarms. "No, keep it stable." But it was too late. The relay cracked, glowing white-hot before collapsing in on itself. The core, still charging far away, suddenly went dark. Silence fell across the stars. The weapon was gone. Humanity had done the impossible. They had survived the greatest weapon ever built. On the Valkyrie's bridge, cheers erupted. But Holt didn't smile yet. "Make sure the core is truly offline," she said quietly. Dr. Carter's report came moments later. "Confirmed. The weapon's gone. The energy signatures are gone." "You did it, Admiral." Only then did Holt exhale in relief. "Send this message to the Council worlds," she said. "The weapon has fallen. Humanity stands. There will be no third chance." Back on Arendor Prime, the Council chamber burned with chaos. Dozens of ambassadors shouted, demanding answers. Vorn tried to speak, but his voice was drowned by outrage. "You've doomed us all," one alien cried. Arya Talon entered the chamber, her eyes calm. "No, humanity has saved us from your madness." She looked at the broken Chancellor. "The age of fear is over." As the human fleet turned toward home, Admiral Holt stood at the window watching the stars drift by. Dr. Carter's voice came softly through the comms. "It's over, Sarah, we won." Holt shook her head gently. "No, the war is over, but the galaxy will never be the same." She gazed at the endless stars, beautiful, cold, and full of promise. "Now," she said quietly, "it's time the galaxy learned what humanity truly stands for." The first rays of sunlight touched Earth's horizon, glinting off the towers of New Geneva. Cities were alive, buzzing with activity, but the mood was different. A quiet triumph filled the air. Humanity had survived the Council's betrayal. The war had ended, yet its echoes lingered across the solar system. Debris from battles floated in orbit, a reminder of the destruction that could have been total. Yet among the humans there was no despair. There was only resolve. Inside the United Earth Fleet headquarters, Admiral Sarah Holt reviewed reports with Dr. Leon Carter and her staff. "All fronts are stable," Carter said. "The Council's fleets are in retreat. Most surviving ships are returning to their homeworlds, and the remaining colonies are intact." Holt leaned against the observation deck window, looking at Earth below. "They underestimated us. They thought fear would bend us. But humanity does not bend." Lieutenant Rice, standing nearby, added, "They'll be sending messages, probably blaming each other for the failure. But the galaxy already knows who survived." Carter smiled faintly. "Yes, humanity stands." Across the stars, the remaining Council worlds were in chaos. Communications were fractured, alliances broken. Many species had begun to question the leadership of Chancellor Vorn. On the Aurelian homeworld, Arya Talon addressed the Galactic Assembly via hologram. "The humans warned the Council," she said, her golden eyes shining. "They gave peace, they gave aid, and yet they were betrayed. Let this be a lesson. No species should live in fear of another. Let us rebuild with trust, not tyranny." Her words were broadcast across the galaxy. They were heard in distant colonies, space stations, and even by neutral species who had remained hidden during the conflict. The human message of courage and unity began to inspire many. On Earth, news of humanity's triumph reached every city. Children cheered in streets, waving holographic banners. Families gathered in public squares to celebrate the survivors returning from space. Dr. Carter watched the celebrations from the command center. "It's amazing," he said quietly. "After everything, people are smiling. Humanity never loses hope." Holt stood beside him, her gaze focused. "Hope is what makes us strong. Victory is just proof of it." A young officer approached, holding a tablet. "Admiral, we've received multiple messages from former Council colonies. They want peace talks, and some want to join humanity's alliance." Holt raised an eyebrow. "Interesting. Let them come. But we proceed carefully. Trust must be earned." Meanwhile, in orbit above Mars, the human defense armada was undergoing repairs and upgrades. Engineers worked tirelessly and pilots trained for any potential future threats. Commander Elena Brooks, captain of the destroyer Silver Wing, oversaw a simulation. "We must ensure the fleet remains ready," she said. "The Council may be defeated, but the galaxy is vast. Threats will come again." Her crew nodded. Humanity had learned that even in victory, vigilance was necessary. Aegis cruisers, the elite stealth ships, returned from their missions, battered but intact. Their pilots reported success and losses, but all spoke with pride. The message was clear. Humans had faced the greatest odds in history and prevailed. In the political arenas of the galaxy, changes began to happen. Many species began to advocate for reform in the Council, inspired by humanity's actions. Ambassador Kor of the Zathan, now isolated and shamed, watched as his influence crumbled. "They'd survived," he muttered to his aide. How did they survive?" "They fought with unity," the aide replied softly. "They were not afraid." Kor shook his head. "Humans? Impossible." Across the same halls, Area Talon worked with other leaders to establish a new code for the Galactic Assembly. Peace treaties were drafted, and safeguards implemented to prevent a weapon like the core from ever being used again. The galaxy was learning a lesson. Strength combined with compassion could inspire change even in the darkest times. Back on Earth, Admiral Holt addressed the world from New Geneva's central tower. The broadcast reached billions. "People of Earth," she said, her voice calm and strong, "we have faced betrayal, danger, and the greatest weapon ever created. We have survived not because of technology alone, but because of courage, unity, and the belief that life is worth protecting. Humanity stands as a beacon in the galaxy, not through fear, but through hope, wisdom, and strength. Remember this moment. Let it guide our future among the stars." Cheering filled the streets, but Holt's gaze remained on the horizon. Victory had been hard-earned, but the work had just begun. Colonies on distant moons and planets celebrated quietly. The settlements on Europa, Titan, and Mars were buzzing with activity. Human engineers repaired damaged habitats, farmers prepared for harvests, and children ran freely under artificial skies. In the Arcturus colonies, reports of neutral species sending aid and messages of friendship were coming in. Humanity's example had inspired others to take a stand for fairness and justice. Dr. Carter watched the influx of communications. "They're listening," he said softly. "Humanity has sent a message without firing a shot, just by standing firm." Holt nodded. "Strength is not just in weapons. It's in conviction, in persistence, and unity. Humans have proven it." Yet not all was calm. Fragments of the Council still lingered. Some ships fled to hidden corners of the galaxy, plotting while others prepared for diplomacy, unsure whether to submit or resist. The human fleet remained on high alert. Every captain knew that vigilance was key. They had survived the core, but the galaxy was full of unknown dangers. Admiral Holt convened her senior officers. "We must rebuild, yes, but we must also prepare. Humanity's story will continue, not just in defense but in leadership. We will guide the galaxy toward justice, fairness, and peace. Let no one mistake kindness for weakness." Her officers nodded. Determination burned in their eyes. Humanity had learned, survived, and now would shape the future. At the edge of known space, some alien species who had remained neutral began to send messages to Earth. They sought alliances, trade, and scientific collaboration. Humanity's reputation had grown exponentially. a young species that had risen to become a symbol of resilience, courage, and ingenuity. Back on New Geneva, Dr. Carter and his team analyzed the new waves of communications. "They are impressed by what we did," he said, "and perhaps they will follow our example." Holt stood silently, thinking about the years ahead. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, but humanity had shown it could face any threat. Her eyes softened as she looked toward the stars. "We've survived betrayal, weaponry, and fear. Now we will survive peace and shape it." The celebration across the solar system continued. Ships returned from their missions, citizens gathered, and messages of hope and unity spread. Humanity had won a war not just with technology, but with spirit. In the council chambers of the former Galactic Council, debates raged. Some species called for justice against Vorn, some for cooperation with humanity. Chaos reigned, but for once the humans were the calm center, the example the galaxy could follow. And in orbit above Earth, the Valkyrie drifted silently. Admiral Holt looked out over the curve of the planet, remembering every battle, every loss, every victory. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "The galaxy will never forget humanity again." For the first time in centuries, humanity had not just survived. They had proven that courage, unity, and resilience could overcome the darkest threats. The galaxy was quiet but not empty. After the fall of the core and the collapse of the Council's control, humanity's presence had become undeniable. Across star systems, whispers of human courage and strength spread. Stories of the Valkyrie and the Aegis fleet reached the ears of distant species, inspiring hope and admiration. On New Geneva, Admiral Sarah Holt stood before the Council of Earth, the governing body that now oversaw humanity's interstellar coordination. Her voice was steady, her eyes sharp. "The galaxy is watching," she said. "We have survived betrayal, we have faced destruction, and we have endured the greatest weapon ever known. Humanity has shown the universe that courage, unity, and resolve cannot be defeated. Now it is time to guide our place among the stars." Dr. Leon Carter stepped forward. "Our science teams have begun projects to assist other worlds, rebuilding colonies, restoring communication networks, and sharing safe technologies. We have the opportunity to lead not through fear, but through knowledge and collaboration." The council members nodded in agreement. Humanity had emerged not just as survivors, but as a symbol of hope. Meanwhile, Admiral Holt addressed the human fleet. Ships from Mars, Luna, Europa, and far-flung colonies gathered in orbit, engines glowing softly in preparation. "Today," Holt said, her voice echoing through the fleet comms, "we reach beyond defense. Humanity stands ready to offer alliance, to share knowledge, and to protect those who cannot protect themselves. We will be vigilant, but we will also be just. Let no one mistake our power for aggression. Let it be known that humanity acts with purpose, courage, and honor." A cheer rose across the fleet. Pilots, engineers, and soldiers felt a renewed sense of mission. The victories had been hard won, but the future promised a greater challenge, shaping the galaxy's destiny. Far from the solar system, former Council species watched humanity's movements carefully. Some were wary, fearing the power humans now wielded. Others, inspired by humanity's moral strength, stepped forward to establish partnerships. On Aurelian, Area Talon worked tirelessly to unite the Council's fractured species under a new code of conduct. "We have learned," she said to a gathering of leaders, "that power without responsibility leads to chaos. Humanity has taught us that courage combined with wisdom can change the course of history. We must follow this example." The Assembly agreed to reforms. Trade routes reopened, communication lines restored, and neutral species were welcomed into dialogue. The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, had a chance at genuine cooperation. Back on Earth, life began to return to normal, but nothing was truly the same. People walked the streets with pride, knowing that humanity had stood against impossible odds. Citizens returned to schools, workplaces, and farms, but a new sense of purpose filled every conversation. In New Geneva Command, Dr. Carter oversaw a program to train young engineers and scientists for interstellar projects. "We must prepare the next generation," he told his team. "The galaxy is vast, and knowledge is our greatest weapon for peace." Admiral Holt visited the training halls, observing young cadets mastering starship simulations. "Courage," she said softly to herself, "is built, not born. Humanity will need it for the years ahead." The Valkyrie and its crew became symbols across human colonies. Stories of their battles were recounted in schools, broadcast across communication networks, and written into histories. The name Sarah Holt became synonymous with leadership, bravery, and wisdom. Commander Elena Brooks, captain of the Silver Wing, led her crew in patrols, helping rebuild remote colonies and ensuring that humanity's promise of protection was kept. Every mission reinforced the image of humans as both protectors and explorers. Even former Council soldiers who survived the war observed humanity with respect. They began sending envoys to learn from humans, understanding that power combined with morality could unite, rather than dominate civilizations. In orbit above Earth, the human fleet conducted maneuvers as part of training and defense readiness. Though the core was destroyed and the Council weakened, Holt knew threats could emerge again. Humanity would not be caught off guard. "Admiral," Ray said, pointing to a distant star, "our sensors are picking up signals from beyond known space, a civilization unknown to the galaxy." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Unknown, yes, but they will learn of humanity soon. We are ready for anything." The fleet's engines flared as they adjusted position. They were no longer just defenders of Earth. They were guardians of a new era. Across the galaxy, news of humanity's victory and leadership spread. Systems previously under Council influence began seeking treaties. Trade routes opened, shared research began, and even some neutral species offered their fleets in joint patrols. In one Council chamber on Zathan Prime, Ambassador Kor stood in disgrace, facing a tribunal. "They survived," he muttered, "and now they lead." An Aurelian delegate spoke. "Yes, humanity stands as a reminder that courage, unity, and integrity can overcome betrayal and fear. Let us learn from them." Kor lowered his head, understanding that the galaxy had shifted forever. Humanity's rise was not through conquest, but through resilience and moral strength, a lesson every species could witness. On Earth, Admiral Holt and Dr. Carter convened one last briefing for the fleet's officers. "The galaxy is wide, full of mysteries and dangers," Holt said. "But humanity has proven it can face anything. Our fleet will patrol the stars, our scientists will explore, and our diplomats will forge alliances. We are not conquerors, we are guardians, and we will ensure that the future belongs to those who value life, courage, and wisdom." Carter nodded. "And the lessons we learned from the core and the Council will guide us. Humanity will remain vigilant but never reckless." "Exactly," Holt replied. "We fight not because we must, but because we choose to protect. That is our strength." The fleets departed from orbit in coordinated formations, heading toward distant colonies and unexplored sectors. Human ships shone like stars themselves, a moving testament to resilience and unity. Families and friends watched the fleet leave, waving from observation decks and public squares. The cheers of celebration were joined by quiet reflection. Humanity had survived betrayal, fire, and near destruction. Now it would shape its own destiny. Children in schools were taught the stories of the Valkyrie, the Aegis fleet, and the courage of every soldier, pilot, and scientist. "We are humans," teachers told them. "We face the impossible and we stand tall." Across distant colonies, similar lessons spread. Humanity's story was no longer confined to Earth. It belonged to the stars. In the quiet of space, Admiral Holt stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie, watching the stars drift past. Dr. Carter joined her, his eyes reflecting distant suns. "The galaxy is a different place now," he said. Holt nodded. "Yes, but we must continue to lead with the same courage we showed in battle." The core was a test and humanity passed it. But tests will come again, and we will be ready. Carter smiled. "The galaxy will remember this day, and the humans who made it possible." Holt's gaze returned to the stars. "They will remember not because we destroyed, but because we stood. Humanity will shine among the stars, not as conquerors, but as champions of life, courage, and hope." Years later, humans were recognized as leaders in interstellar councils not through fear, but through wisdom. Former council worlds rebuilt their societies with human guidance. Neutral species joined alliances, and new trade, science, and defense networks flourished. The galaxy had been forever changed, not by weapons or fear, but by a species that refused to bow, refused to break, and refused to surrender. Humanity had issued its final warning once. Escape now, and the universe had listened. The stars themselves seemed brighter as human ships traveled among them, carrying hope, knowledge, and the courage of an entire species. Admiral Holt watched a new fleet launch from Earth. Each ship prepared to explore and protect distant worlds. The Valkyrie stood at the center, a symbol of humanity's endurance. "This is just the beginning," she said softly. "Humanity will grow. Humanity will guide. Humanity will endure." The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges, discoveries, and possibilities. And humanity, united, strong, and wise, was ready to meet them all.